I don't get to assimilate into anything other than the black experience. For me to be given the opportunity to be a storyteller and to tell narrative of people in my community that look like me, I wear that as a badge of honor and a huge responsibility. And I am grateful for the gift of art, if nothing else, just for that. I'm Michael Kenneth Williams, and this is the timeline of my career.
And offering more. What do you mean you can't do that? You're my lawyer, right? Well, do it. I got Shadow coming down there with some more cash. I want you to fix it. Can you do that? Can you fix it?
My way into Hollywood was through the music video world. I had actually started out as a background dancer, and shortly after I was attacked and sliced in my face, directors and photographers found me interesting looking, and before I knew it, I was being asked to portray darker characters in music videos. Having had done a certain amount of videos in New York City, your Polaroid picture tends to litter the various production companies around town. Pac had gone to the office for whatever reasons, and he saw this picture. And they were still casting the role of his little brother, the character of High Top. And he saw my picture, and he was like, yo, he told Julian, go find this guy. He looks thugged out enough to play my little brother. I came in, auditioned, and I got the part. Working with Pac on the set was crazy. Although I was older than him, I was in complete awe of him. And I found myself, when he would come on the set, I would just get quiet and just listen and watch him. He was so fascinating. One day, the director kept calling him to set, and the shot was not quite ready. He got a little annoyed. He was like, guys, listen, when I come to set, I come in character. So when you call me, be ready to shoot. I don't want to sit around on set. I'd rather be in my trailer. That happened like one more again, and he lost it. He cursed everybody out on set and said, I told you, when you call me to set, yo, MFs better be ready. And he stormed off set. And I learned that day, don't come to the set to get ready. Come ready.
What you talking about?
I'm going to the army with safe. I don't want to die.
I want to die. I'm the one.
When that film came around, was being produced, I was actually still a background dancer. I remember being on the road. I was in California, getting ready to go on to do our second show at this pavilion. I was with a recording artist by the name of Maya. I just checked in with my manager at the time, and I was like, just see what was going on. My acting career was already on the way, and she freaked out. She was like, where are you? I said, I'm on the road, I'm in Cali. She goes, well, I don't know what you're doing out there, but you better have your butt back in New York City by Monday morning. And I was like, why? And she was like, Martin Scorsese wants to meet you. So I was like, holy crap. I went to the stage manager, a music director, actually, a brother named Earl. I asked him to spot me the money I needed to catch the flight back for this audition. I asked him to keep this between us, and I was going to tell the boss that I had a family emergency. And in my mind, I wasn't lying, because had I lost this role, it would have been a family emergency, right? But I remember being in the room with Marty, and there were 3 feature roles that anyone in my position could have auditioned for. 2 of them were good, but one of them was great. I went in there, and they were all 3 different emotions in the same scene, and he asked me to play all 3. And just like that, I went to 3 different emotions, and the last one was of a man dying on the floor in Times Square. And when I finished, he jumped up, he looked at me, and he says, give him the part, any part he wants. You're a great actor. And he gets up and he walks out the room. I swear to God, my T-shirt got like soaking wet from sweat. I was like, wait, hold up. Did the Martin Scorsese just say that I was a great actor? Needless to say, I hung my dancing shoes up after that one.
Hold this. If you let go, I swear I won't kill you. This is that kid I was telling you about, man. Needs the crash share. He can get you a Glock 9.
Welcome to the Boonton Holiday Inn. When I got the role on The Sopranos on HBO, I felt like I had arrived. All of the little extra parts or the featured extra parts, they were paying off now. You know, the role on The Sopranos, it meant a lot to me because, you know, I was a huge fan of James Gandolfini and Edie Falco and the rest of the family over there. But it was also apparent that not a lot of people of color got to be on The Sopranos. And if you did, you ended up floating with the fishes, right? So the fact that they had asked me to come on that show and tell this narrative and not just be a pawn that got killed off, I got to portray what a good father looks like to raising a daughter in the projects. Like, you know, to just that alone, that exists, was monumental to have the opportunity to tell that narrative on a show like The Sopranos.
You'll be safe here, bro. You're Guido Fender.
Somebody is coming now. Come on, let's go.
Yeah.
When Omar Devon Little came into my life, I was in an extremely dark place. I was in debt, borrowing money from my family to pay my rent in the projects. 9/11 had come and gone, and I was lost. I remember I was sitting down in my living room with my cousin, a.k.a. Sean Price, and we were, you know, smoking weed, drinking beer, and we normally do, put the TV on, but mute it and play music, and we usually either be playing spades or game of chess. And here comes my episode of The Sopranos. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, there's something wrong with this picture. I'm looking at myself on television, but I'm sitting here, you know, kind of like really not being productive with this gift, with this opportunity. And I went back to my mom and I said, you know what, I think I need to give show business one more shot. And so I put out this package. I got a new headshot, new resume. They were doing this thing called reels. I had to create a reel. And I sent out this package. Figure by the second week in January, I would be getting, the phones would be ringing off the hook that, you know, Michael K. Williams is back. That kid with the guy with the scar, he's back. And that wasn't happening either. And I sunk into a very, very dark place. Really bad depression. I was in my apartment and I get a phone call. My mother, she says, come downstairs, you got a fax. And that fax was from Alexa Fogel. It was the role of Omar, the breakdown. I went in and I read one time for that character. She sent the tapes in to David Simon and Nina Noble and Ed Byrne. Next thing I knew, I was being called to report to Baltimore for work. During the process of making The Wire, I was so excited. You know, I was just so happy to have a job. I felt like my dreams were coming true. And I was really excited to be amongst what I considered greatness. Wendell Pierce, Sonia Song, Wood Harris. Like, they was already doing it, you know. J.D. Williams. These are people I was just watching on television. So I was happy. And then we had season 1 in the can. And I just knew that this was a black thing. Like, you know, we made it. We got a good black TV show and we coming back next year. And then here come David Simon with his beautiful, crazy, twisted mind. And he threw us into season 2. And I remember going to him saying, you know, so why is it that every time black people make something hot, you take it and then you're going to turn this into a white show? What's up with that? And he looked at me and he chuckled and he says, you know what, Michael? He said, if we went right back to the projects and to the corners in season 2, he said, it would make your world seem extremely small. He said, trust me, I got you. And then we now know season 3 and 4, 5 came and he tied this whole world in. But it was in season 3 when I started to realize that, oh, this is not about me. It's not about my career, how much screen time I thought I should have gotten, or, you know, what I thought the world should do, how I thought the show should go. It had nothing to do with me. And in fact, it had everything to do with it. I was just a small part of something great, this great tapestry, this great narrative of social issues that is wrong, things that are wrong in our country, not just in the black community, just not just a Baltimore story. This is going on in every hood, in every city, in every state around these United States. And The Wire was a love letter to our nation, like a blueprint to show where we're broken in hopes of fixing what is wrong. you know, I started looking at the way people, and particularly in my community, would come, and it wasn't just, oh, that TV show was fly, or you on that dope TV show. It was like, thank you.
Ew!
How many guns do you have?
Enough for me and mine. When Boardwalk Empire came around, when I met Chalky White, I was in South Africa filming a TV series for, I believe, NBC called The Philanthropist. I was working with the likes of James Purefoy, Nev Campbell, Jesse Martin, and a whole slew of other people, man. We were having a great time filming down there. The problem was, for me, I was probably having a little bit too much of a good time. I think for those who know, you know. And I remember saying to myself, dag, Mike, I think if this show gets picked up and I have to keep coming back down here, if I don't change the way I'm living, I will probably die down here. The next week, I get a call that this new TV show on HBO called Boardwalk Empire is looking for me. And here we go. Martin Scorsese is one of the producers. So I'm like, nah. I said, no, that's you playing tricks. That's too good to be true, right? So I got the call, and I said, okay, yeah, right, whatever. I'm not gonna get that. I'm not even gonna waste my time with that, right? So like a week or so passed, my agent calls me back, and she's like, if you don't at least put your name in the hat, you know what I mean? I was like, yeah, all right, closed mouth don't get fed. I feel you. So I went, I got a camera, I call Nev. I says, yo, Nev, would you read these lines with me? She goes, yeah. I send it in. That's how I got Boardwalk Empire. Cause I ain't heard one peep about it till now. It's an indie at best.
Yeah, that's what they thought.
I hear you went to Little Frankie for some money. He wouldn't loan it to you. Booking that role was real special to me for a personal reason. The opportunity to work with Mark Wahlberg. Years ago when he was in the music business, and you know, he was Marky Mark in the Funky Bunch, he and I shared the same manager. As I started to transcend into acting, a young lady, Judy, she worked at the management office and would take on other acts under the umbrella. She hired me to choreograph one of the acts. You know, Mark was already out there as a force to be reckoned with in Hollywood. And I remember saying, man, my acting career is really taking off. I'm getting these extra parts on a regular basis, right? And, you know, I could see it. In a couple of years, I want to do a movie with Mark Wahlberg. She chuckled. And she says, just take your time, Mike. You know, like, you know, don't burst your gasket just yet. And 10 years later, here I am doing the movie with Mark Wahlberg. It was confirmation of the power of belief and the power when you say something and you work towards it, you know, manifest.
No, the terms weren't acceptable.
But you're into me. And I ain't Fannie Mae. Ain't no bailouts. I don't know. Thought maybe you might have something to say. Sort of like welcome.
What kind of fucked up name is Gertrude? You a half-breed?
Excuse us, please. Go on and get yourself something to eat, baby. Bessie was also a monument for me to be alongside my little sister, as I prefer to her Dana, but the rest of the world knows her as Queen Latifah. I've known Dana since she was 17 years old. I remember when she first told me, she swore me to secrecy. We were in my studio apartment, again in my projects. We were singing Prince, Adore. And when it came time to the high notes, I remember it sounding like Two Wounded Dogs. She looked at me, we started laughing, and she looked at me, she goes, yo, Mike, don't say nothing. I says, what? She goes, I'm about to get a record deal. That was the summer of, 88? So to actually have that opportunity to work with her on that level was monumental. But make no mistake, I bust my ass for that audition. Like, she don't play that. Her and Shakim, they don't play that, not even a little bit. And Shelby, I mean, I wanted this role so bad. I remember on the third callback, y'all, I known this girl for 20 years, and I had to go to 3 callbacks. In the audition, in the waiting room, you know, I stuck to my basics. I went in character, you know, clothing. I'm in top coat with the hat and, you know, the hard bottoms. That was the intent, and that was the drive, and that was the grind that I put towards obtaining that role. I needed to earn that for myself.
What the hell is wrong with you?
I know you got your side pieces, but why you gotta rub them in my face?
Little man.
Why the green one?
Because orange means violent felon. That role, it blindsided me for a number of reasons. And then we filmed in these amazingly built sets that really resembled prisons. There wasn't a lot of fanciness about the place. The whole set, the whole vibration, you know, felt like prison. That weighed on me, and it was somewhere, you know, halfway through in production, I realized that I'm getting a glimpse of what my nephew, Dominic DuPont, who served 20 years of his young adult life incarcerated. I started to get a glimpse of what his life was like when he was behind bars. That was a very frightening and difficult process to experience. There was definitely some moments that I got tripped up. What is reality and what is fiction? The emotional aspect of what that narrative was waking up in me, I wasn't really prepared for it, and woke up personal traumas and past experiences that were very difficult to navigate through in the production of this. But you know, thank God we had the art to put it into.
Kind of predisposes to judge in a way that's not to your advantage.
Denying that baptism made the slaves equal to whites.
That's ma'am to you.
And just as child abuse passes from one generation to the next, so does spiritual abuse.
I had real facts to pull from. Even more so, I had the man himself, Ken Jones, to actually converse with and talk to, and to study. I consider him an American hero. You're talking about a dark-skinned man of color in the Navy in the 70s, the racism he must have faced, having to hide his homosexuality and the homophobia, being in love with a white man, having to come home, surviving all of that, and then having to fight his next war, which was gay rights and HIV/AIDS, the spread of HIV/AIDS, and to look at him having had survived all of that. He's a pretty awesome dude, and someone that just reeks of regalness. And to have the opportunity to tell his story, I jumped at it.
Turning the oppressed into an oppressor. The educated over the undereducated.
Local barbecue at their spot, Fly Rise, show me a little Southern hospitality. So we about to get it in, Houston style.
I get a message that Spike Jonze wants to see me, and I was like, you know, say no to Spike Jonze, right? That process was eye-opening for me. I remember on the episode of The Lean, the Sizzy episode, and I asked the most generic question that came from such an ignorant place. I asked this brother, I says, so who inspired you to drink lean? And he says, excuse me, motherfucker, I started this shit. I was like, uh-oh, and he took huge offense. It's like asking Barry Gordy, so who hired you at Motown? You know, he kind of chin-checked me, you know, verbally, and I learned something that day. I says, you know what, Michael, if this is gonna work, you have to let go of everything and remember that you are not the sharpest knife in the drawer. And what happened was I stopped trying to act like I knew what I was talking about, and instead I started to connect. I started to compare my life and my past with their stories, and we started to have a dialogue as opposed to an interview. You know what I mean? And that's when the magic happened.
I just happened to bring my appetite. I'm hungry as a motherfucker.
Baby, around here we fix everything but a broken heart.
Well, nothing. I can't see a damn thing. I'm cold, huh? Nuts must look like raisins. Is that before or after you went in? Very funny.
The thing about Hap and Leonard that really stuck out to me was Number one, the writing. The world that this writing lived in was so unique, and it was nothing like I'd ever done before. And it was my old friend, James Peervoy. It was an opportunity to show that a white man and a black man can be complete equals and can be brothers and can have, if not the same, a very similar human experience. I knew at that point there was no other white man in Hollywood that can take that journey with me better than James. I didn't have to get to know him. A lot of the things that happened, Leonard spoke about, their difference on politics and, you know, the way they would argue. James and I had that relationship already. We talked like that already. And so having that friendship, having that relationship, you know, we just brought that over into the character, which made it that more dynamic.
So what's this plan to Howards anyway? They just don't want to do it like they did in the 60s, that's all.
That sports section?
Oh, yeah, you see that? The Yankees released Gary Ward. He's a two-time All-Star.
Yeah, just like you.
This was one of those, I gotta have this moments. I'll do anything. The main reason was because I knew the story personally. Born and bred in New York City and Brooklyn. I remember when this happened, and I also remember knowing that it could have easily have been Central Park 6. Although I was older than them, I was also living a very at-risk life in these streets in New York. I jumped at it, you know. This is also a time where my personal past and I guess, for lack of a better words, my reputation in the industry was starting to catch up to me. I met with Ava, and we had a great lunch. We had a great talk about the character. So after the meeting was over, you know, I had finished my burger. I thought we was good. She goes, no, Sid, I'm not done talking to you. I'm like, what's up? She goes, so what's up with you? I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, no, what's up with you, man? So, you know, heard you was a bit of a loose cannon. You okay? What's going on? And, I knew exactly what she was talking about. And I also knew that I would lose if I lied to her. That would hurt me if I did not come clean. And so I did. I remember leaving that meeting saying that if I get this opportunity, I'm going to blow this out the water. I'm going to be 110% present. I'm going to relate to every living thing. I don't care if it's a fly on that set. I'm going to relate to it. Ava renewed my vows with the reasons why I became an artist in the first place. When They See Us renewed my vows with why I became an artist in the first place.
Nah, being an Yankee ain't nothing to root for.
You cold, Sean.
Well, I'm just...
What the hell y'all doing here? We're here to save you. I'll save my damn self. I ain't need y'all coming for me.
The world that Lovecraft Country lives in is, we are looking at the American experience through this black family. They've already survived the Tulsa massacre in 1921. They then moved to Chicago, the south side of Chicago, which is within itself kind of like moving to a war zone. And all of this is happening during Jim Crow America. So this is who they are when we meet them. And we follow them on their quest to find out who they are as a family. What is their legacy? What will they leave behind for their next generation? And they're trying to mend as a family. They're trying to heal old wounds and find ways to forgive each other, all while dealing with this horrifying monster that looms over them called racism. I think this project is super timely for the times that we find ourselves in right now. I do believe what the late, great John Lewis said, which is, although we have far to go, we've come a long way. I saw that evidence in the protests for the murder of George Floyd, the diversity that was in those streets, from white, black, male, female, young, old, gay, straight, Hasidic, Hispanic, everyone, Asians, everyone was in them streets chanting justice for George Floyd. And, you know, that was nothing I definitely had never seen before on that level. What's happening right now is we're looking at ourselves. We're being stripped down naked to see exactly who we are as a nation. And in that, I'm reminded that, you know, America is a baby. We're still so young. You know, we're a baby with a very, very big, noisy rattle, but yet still a baby. So when we look at a black family today in regards to how poverty and community, you know, the breakdown of community, how all these things are put into play, we get glimpses of that in the narrative of Lovecraft country. I think this is a brilliant time, and for me as an artist, as an actor, what a great opportunity to have this piece of art, to be a part of this piece of art making that we can hold up as a mirror for us to take a look at ourselves as a nation. I think it's very timely. Well, I just want to say thank you to Vanity Fair and for everyone who was listening or watching the timeline of my career so far.